Thanks for logging in to LOL with Miss Nikki here at IntellectualRadio.com. You just got through listening to Sister's Heart. And right now on the radio, you're listening to Marissa by Machine. And I know you're wondering, who is the sexy dude next to me? I do it every week, ladies. I know you're wondering. I know. Yeah, but to make you wait, like I always do. Oh, my goodness. So, hell must be freezing over because the Cubs have won the World Series. Eat, drink, and be merry because Tuesday is election day, and we might be crying, people. But if you get out to the polls and handle your business, we can change this world, people. It takes one to do it. Everyone do their part, change the world. We got to get out there and make that happen. Oh my goodness. On a sad note, unfortunately, my Martinez family took a loss this morning, so I sent out my condolences to them. Also to the Layden family, I sent out my condolences that Mama Layden has been called home. It has been just such an incredible week with so much going on, just personally and in the world. I had to talk about it and just touch on briefly before we go to commercial and before I bring back who this guy is. Some of you know, some of you don't. You're going to learn something new today because we feed the brain here at IntellectualRadio.com. So thank you for tuning in to LOL with Miss Nikki.
Turn it up.
Antigua Entertainment.
Yeah.
The company that knows how to party. Every event, from weddings to birthdays. We have the DJs and MCs to rock your crowd. We have the sound and light show to make it huge. And we have the talent and experience to always get it right. We are the party experts.
You already know. Hit 'em with it.
Antigua Entertainment.
Get your insurance policy reviewed. The ladies at American Family Insurance will review and explain policy coverages, limits, and what they mean, so you can be sure you are properly protected exactly as you like and need. The Anna Heron Bassick Agency has been awarded year after year for providing excellent customer service. Whether it's auto, motorcycles, or life and home, Anna's agency deals with them all. Call Anna or Justina today for your free insurance review at 773-794-9200. That's 773-794-9200. Like them on Facebook at facebook.com AH Agency. They speak English, Spanish, and Croatian.
The weekend is near. Your event is around the corner. You need to look your best. Let Marquin Salon help you look good. They create everyday art with their clients' hair. Located at 2157 West Division Street on the southeast corner of Levitt and Division by St. Mary's Hospital. Marquin Salon is open Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., Sundays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., and they are closed on Saturdays. Marquin Salon, where first-time customers get 25% off of all services. Like them on Facebook, facebook.com/Marquin Salon, MarquinSalon. Follow Marquin Salon on Twitter, Instagram, and Google+. To make an appointment, call 773-782-8477. That's 773-782-8477. For questions and info, you can email Marquin Salon at marquinsalon@gmail.com.
Are you looking for cosmetic or reconstructive plastic surgery? Dr. Clark Shirla is a board-certified Chicago plastic surgeon and has worked with surgeons from Northwestern Memorial Hospital, Children's Memorial Hospital, and many others. Contact Northwestern Specialist in Plastic Surgery today and schedule an appointment to see Dr. Shirla about rediscovering your inner beauty and realizing the personal image you have always desired. Call them now at 312-266-6240. That's right, 312-266-6240. Or you can check them out on Facebook at facebook.com/Chicago Plastics.
Your wedding day, a day that you've envisioned in your mind since you were a child. And now that it's becoming don't risk your once-in-a-lifetime event to a once-in-a-while amateur you found on Craigslist. The entertainment you choose for your special day can either make or break your celebration. You can never redo your wedding, but you can avoid a costly mistake by hiring a true professional. We make every wedding unforgettable. Welcome to Batiqua Entertainment.
Thank you for checking out all my sponsors for the LOL Miss Nikki show at IntellectualRadio.com. Please like their pages. Check out the Anna Harem Basic website for American Family Insurance, because you are important. Insure yourself, your auto, your home, all them electronics, make sure you are covered. If you have questions about coverage, check out Anna, and she can tell you what package is best suited for you. Also, if you're going somewhere like a party, you want to have good music and good entertainment, we'll call about the entertainment. They provide music, magic, and fun to any event. Check out their page and like them. Also, you got to look good when you go, so you got to check out my guy, Montgomery Martin over at Marquin Salon, where he creates art every day. He has amazing different products, different sales, different specials. So check out the salon, Marquin Salon. Like their page, share, go get beautiful. And speaking of getting beautiful, you're also going to want to check out NSPS and Dr. Clark Sherla. They have a new menu out for the fall for your skin. They have a fantastic med spa. I had the hydrofacial. I highly recommend it. Christmas is coming. You want to buy somebody that you love, somebody special, something nice, get them a package at the spa. You couldn't ask for better. So check out NSPS, like their page, and check out their specials. Okay, I know you all are done waiting. Y'all are just having that moment. Check it out. Everybody knows a guy. I really know a guy. This is Noah from I Know a Guy Productions. I couldn't wait to do that. Noah, I'm so glad to have you in the building.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on the show.
Oh my goodness. You've got a lot going on, and we have a short time to cover it in. But I actually met you on Facebook before I met you in person. I don't think we had met, like, working a room or anything.
Nope.
You've been a comedian for how long now?
My memory is not that great.
You're too young.
Years, somewhere around there.
You're too young to have bad memory. But I noticed that you have filled a need, a void, actually, if you will, in the community. And that's how I met you, was doing your show where you get critiqued by other seasoned comedians, vets, if you will, in Chicago, which I thought was fantastic. I was like, please pick me, please. I really was. I was biting at the bit because I couldn't wait. I thought that was a fantastic concept. What made you come up with that?
Well, a few years ago, there's a lot of Facebook groups, and a lot of comedians. There was like a lot of bickering at a certain point, and I was like, that's not cool. That's not nice. Why don't we have something where it's a little bit more inclusive for everyone? So I thought, well, why don't we get showcases to work together? Because that. I didn't see too much of that. A lot of people like to do their own thing, but I wanted to do something that kind of brought everyone together and have auditions. And then that's when the idea came, which is, why not have auditions where someone can come and audition for like 15 showcases at once? Like it just sounded like the best way to go about it and give new people exposure. And the fairest way to set it up was to give each showcase a comedian they want to see audition. So it wasn't me choosing everyone that came to audition. It was every showcase booker chose someone that they wanted to see. So that's why you saw it was an interesting mix of people, like people you would never see in a room together. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, absolutely. It was like people you would never see in a room together all at once, and it was because it was a great way to go about it, giving all the bookers a chance to. Well,
thanks whoever picked me, because I really had fun with that show. Thank you. No, because you're always nerve-wracked when you're like, send me a video clip, and I'm like, what's my best video clip that'll make sure I get in?
Yeah, no, I'll tell you, most comedians, little known secret, most comedians will tell you they don't think their clip is good enough, so a lot of times they won't send anything in. I always tell people, whatever you have, send it in, because what you might think is garbage, someone might like.
So it doesn't matter how old the clip is?
Doesn't matter how old, how long. It could just be audio, no video, whatever. Just send it in. Somebody might want to hear that.
So take note, comedians who are watching and tuning in, or maybe they'll follow in later. Take notes on, if you get the chance to do this show, because you do this how often?
We're trying to do it every 3 or 4 months.
Okay, so keep on the eye, to possibly get in the lineup for this. So when you started doing comedy, what made you do it?
Well, at the time, it was an outlet for people use it as an outlet for different reasons. But I was working a job where they had me working 72 hours a week. Yeah, and I worked by myself in the department, and it's kind of like the movie Castaway with Tom Hanks. How when you're by yourself for a long time, you start to go crazy, and it is so hard to stay awake when you have a 12-and-a-half-hour shift and it's like 3 a.m. and you have to keep yourself awake. So I started writing jokes. And I started writing jokes to keep myself sane. And I was like, well, I can't just write them. What good are they? You got to perform them. So I started going out to comedy and actually performing them. And I thought, oh, cool. This is a great outlet for the job that I had at the time. I'm not there now, but at the time, though, it was a great outlet, a great way to keep me, kind of keep me happy and not in my own head all the time, because there's not much you can do when you're by yourself that long. So it was an outlet.
Well, I'm glad you're not at that job anymore. I mean, because you needed some air and some daylight. Like, oh my goodness, that's insane.
Yeah, and I got to meet a lot of great people, and that was just a bonus, getting to see other people. Like I said, everyone has their own, they use comedy as their own outlet for whatever the reason, but one thing I love about showcases and mics, you can forget about everything that's bothering you for just like a couple hours.
That's true. Very true. I want to know, okay, so once you started doing that and you got bit by the comedy bug, because that's what happens to us, and then all of a sudden we're junkies and we're got to go get a mic.
Oh, you're hooked. Yeah.
When did that happen for you? Did that happen right away? Did it take some time?
No, I was going to Second City and Zanies. I was taking stand-up comedy classes, and I was meeting some people there. When it clicked was when I saw how much fun it was, not just getting a rise out of an audience, but it was actually fun getting to write material. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I want to do more. So it was a very good hobby to have. And once I saw other people doing it as well, it's different. If you go to open mics and showcases, those people are different from the students that go to Zanies and stand up for comedy, because they're usually, it's just a very different group of people. And I got inspired by the students at Second City, because it's like we had this common, we all shared this common goal of like growing up together. And that's when I got bit by the comedy bug, was during the classes, and then eventually transferred over into open mics when I got to meet a whole other group of people.
So where do you think is the difference between the open micer who's never done a class as opposed to someone who's done a class and is now venturing off to do a mic?
A lot of open micers don't take it seriously, and they're just like, well, let me see if I tell these offensive jokes that work with my group of guy friends, let me see how an audience responds to that. And it's really no effort. It's just them trying to impress their guy friends. Second City students, they come from all over the world. They have the goal. They want to make it. So there's a little bit more. Some open micers are great. They have passion. But because they're a little rare, I would think. But yeah, the students at Second City and Zanies, they had goals, and they put a lot of work into. I got to see the work that they were putting into it. And open micers, a lot of times it's just people wanting to see what happens if I do this, and there wasn't a whole lot of work involved. But there are a lot of hard work in comics. Don't get me wrong.
People have a lot of misconception that if you go to an open mic, you get on the mic, you're instantly funny. And like you said, they go out in front of their friends, and their friends, give them the chuckles. And so now it's plateaued somewhere else. It's not always a good thing, people. Not always a good thing. And I agree, because there's people out here who really, really do this and want to do it for a living and don't get that opportunity. So I understand where you're coming from, where that time is important. So now that you've gotten to the part of going to Second City and going to Zanies, and you're seeing the different areas of how a mic, a showcase, how it's veering out. When did you decide that you wanted to start creating I Know a Guy Productions?
Well, when that started was I was doing mics for a while, and I was seeing showcases, how all of them were run, and I wanted to start a show just as a creative outlet. And one of the first showcases I did, it was, the idea was, why don't we have a showcase where each week we have a different theme, because that gives us so much room to play with. And it was originally just a way to see what happens, how far can you take your creativity and apply it to comedy.
So what do you mean by a theme?
So one of the shows I had, I actually got it sponsored by Paramount. The company that does, they made the Ninja Turtles movie.
Right.
So they sent us Ninja Turtles merchandise for us to hand out to the audience, and we did a Ninja Turtle themed show, which is the producers of the show. We were all dressed as turtles, and we were given to adults, but you know, we're all 80s babies.
That's awesome.
And so we did a whole show. Now the comics, we told they can do the regular sets. The producers were the ones that kind of pushed the theme. It was just a fun thing to add, and we didn't tell the comedians to do anything with Ninja Turtles. They just did the regular sets, but we were the ones that kind of pushed it on. And we had another one where it was a Swaporama show. Have you ever been to Swaporama?
Yes.
Okay. So we came up with the idea to bring any item you want, and you're going to swap it with other audience members, so you don't know what you're going to go home with. And we had just the randomest items, and it was fun. It was a silly, fun thing to do. And there was like wrestling action figures, like the movie Fargo on VHS. It was the weirdest thing. And I think I went home with a bag of balloons. There was a bag of balloons someone was looking to trade.
That is amazing. I think that has got to be the best concept I've heard. That really is amazing. I love it. Love it. So, do you notice, because I know there's a difference in North Side and South Side comedy, and I love coming to Pilsen, by the way, because that's where you do a lot of your shows. Shout out to Pilsen, best food ever. Like, I'm telling you, I can't go wrong. I can always be hungry and be in Pilsen. Something is going to happen. It's going to be wonderful. But do you notice a difference in your audience and in your comedians that you book for South Side comedy as opposed to North Side comedy?
I noticed a huge difference. The first South Side mic I ever did was Riddles in Allsip, and it's a great place, great venue. And the first time I went there, I noticed, wow, these are local Illinois people. Like, I feel like they have my back. I felt so relatable to that audience, and like they got me, they understood me, and it was a different feeling, because in the North Side, it's a mix of people that are moving in from out of town to try comedy, but none of them, well, most of them don't grow up in Illinois. They don't grow up in Chicago, so they have a different perspective. They have an outsider's perspective of Chicago, but they don't have a Chicago perspective of Chicago, if that makes sense.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, so in the North Side, great people, but they have their views are a little bit skewed, because they live in an area that there's a lot of tourists in the North Side, but where they live, and they think, oh wow, these are Chicagoans. This is how Chicagoans are, and it's like, no, these are people that just moved there, and tourists. But you know, I live in the South Side where people have lived there the whole life.
Generations.
Yes.
Got generations.
So it's a little bit of a difference in the audience that I felt when I go to the South Side. Like, these are, I don't know, I feel like these are my people. These people get me. And in the North Side, they get me too, but it's different. It's
a little transplanted. I think that's the other thing about when it goes back to writing, that to be relatable all the way across, and that becomes the challenge. That definitely becomes the challenge. How do you feel seeing more and more women coming into the scene, as opposed to the younger guy who's, trying? It's like the old Jerry Seinfeld, kind of like the young guy who's still hanging out with all his friends, and he's got the cool life, and then you've got, us old bitter women getting in it. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I do love it to see comedians in general, but yes, women coming into comedy, that's a great thing, and I wish more women would feel more comfortable being part of it, because sometimes when there is like a newer female comic, I hear a lot of, this show won't book me because I'm not a man, and there's a lot of
almost like a clique, if you will.
Well, they feel like, some of them, not all of them, obviously. Some of them, I've seen some people, it's like they before they even start comedy, they already have this negative impression of people are not going to like me because I'm a woman. And I don't like that because, I mean, a lot of guys can go in with that same feeling too. People are not going to like me because of this reason. But I wish that wasn't there. I wish people understood that everyone has it hard, and you just have to, regardless of whatever you have stacked against you, you just got to put in work and effort to try to succeed, because it's hard for anyone to make it, really. And if you go in there with the mindset of, oh, whatever I do, it's not going to be good enough, so why even try? Well,
then go on to something else.
Yeah. So I wish so many people didn't start off with that mentality of no one's going to like me because I'm a woman. I wish they would just put in the work and put in the hard work and just try their best, and, you know, whatever happens, happens. But, you know, I can't change that.
I wish everybody thought like Noah. I really do, because honestly, no, it's really hard. You know, you're meeting people for the first time, and some people have issues with meeting people, and that's hard. It's not an easy business to get into. You have to network. You have to talk to people. You're talking to an audience. Yeah. So, you know, like you said, if you have those negatives, maybe you should rethink the plan. I got to know, do you do jokes in Spanish?
I have not done jokes in Spanish. In fact, we did one show in about 4 months ago in Pilsen. We decided to have our first ever Spanglish show just to see what happens, where some of the comics did their jokes in English, some did it in Spanish, some went in and out of both. So that was my first time trying it out. And what I did was I do a lot of puns that only work in the English language. So what I did was a Spanish setup, English punchlines, because the audience knew what the joke was, but if I would have said it in Spanish, it wouldn't have worked. So that's about the farthest I've come to doing something in Spanish, was Spanish setup, English punchlines. But I only know, there's only one joke that I've ever done in Spanish, but it's a street joke. But yeah, I really haven't gone too far into trying Spanish.
How was the response, the audience response?
To that one show? Oh, it was great. One thing I did not expect to happen, our audience for that show, most of the audience member were people that they took Spanish in like high school or college, and they wanted to come to the show to see if they understood the jokes. So most of our audience was not native Spanish speakers. It was people who knew a little bit of Spanish and wanted to see if they would get the jokes. So it wasn't like we thought we were going to get like a large Spanish speaking only audience, but it wasn't that. It was just people wanted to check it out.
See, people getting their money's worth on their education and comedy shows. Look at that. Didn't see that coming now, did you? No, I did a Spanglish show. My first one in Michigan. A lot of people don't know I speak Spanish. Sí, hablo español. And they sent me to Michigan, and they were like, can you do your whole set in Spanish? I was like, sure. So I get out there, and they were like, we have a few Caucasians. We need to go Spanglish. And I was like, okay, we could do that. It was really cool because I didn't expect, number one, people right away when they look at me, they don't think I can speak Spanish. But when you bring it out there and then the whole crowd is with you, it's like it takes a turn. It's almost like you're sitting in your living room talking with your family. You know, did you get that feel like once they related to you on stage in your language or the language that you use at home, like, wow, it's a whole nother, relax. It's a whole nother relaxed situation. It's like, okay, now I can tell this joke.
Well, what ended up happening with that show, it was very interesting. I was worried because I knew we had some people that they barely knew Spanish. And I was afraid that if we went all Spanish, because one of the comics did go all Spanish, I was afraid we would lose them, lose their attention, lose their focus. But what ended up happening is it was where the relatability came in was that I speak Spanish, I understand Spanish, but I don't think in Spanish. I think in all English. So I guess I can have a conversation in Spanish. Sometimes I struggle with small talk, but in the end, you know, I have a little bit of trouble in Spanish. Well, so did the people at the comedy show. And what ended up happening was people were telling me that we weren't lost at all because a lot of times the humor, they can kind of tell what the humor was based off body language, based off, like, I can tell they said something dirty, and I think I understood the joke, but they laughed because of what they understood. So they weren't completely lost. And that's when I realized the people at the audience show are just like me. They have a little bit of trouble with Spanish sometimes, but there's times where you can understand what somebody's saying just by the way they say it.
I think the only thing for me with doing Spanish shows, and this may have been a concern for you in the back of your mind, I don't know, but is the dialect, because some things that you say in one dialect can be offensive in another dialect if you don't know it. And I've been told numerous times from other people from other countries, like, oh, you would never say this word, or we can't use that word because blah, blah, blah. So that would be my only fear. And that was my only concern when I did my Spanglish show, was like, oh, I hope I didn't offend anybody. Hope I said everything right. That, and I know that can't make everybody happy, but still, it's always like back here, like.
Yeah, and actually that was the perspective of one of the comedians that we had on the show who spent some time in Spain. And he knew Spanish. He was telling me what his experience was when he went over to, I believe it was Guatemala. He went over to Guatemala and used the same Spanish that they used in Spain, and it didn't work because some of the things were way off. Yeah, they were way different. So yeah, there's always that with the dialect, but with that particular show, we kind of knew what to expect. It being in Pilsen, mostly Mexican, we kind of figured it'll be the Mexican dialect that most people would be familiar with. Mm-hmm. So we kind of knew.
So do you feel like you're trying to go across the board with your comedy showcase as opposed to focusing on a Latin showcase?
That show, that Spanglish show that we had, that was a test. I wanted to see what kind of reaction we would get if we tried to venture into an all Spanish show, as I have no idea what kind of reaction we would get. And it wasn't until I set up that one show until I realized I don't know a lot of Spanish speaking comedians, because they're got to be somewhere. They're hiding in the city somewhere, and I just thought, well, we got to bring them out. So when I started trying to book that show, I realized, whoa, I don't know a lot of Spanish speaking comedians. I had 5. And I had accidentally counted Oscar Carvajal twice, so I couldn't count that. And that's when I ended up getting Chris Tranny. I don't know if you know Chris Tranny. He's the one that he knows Spanish from being in Spain. And so that was a unique perspective, and I wanted him on the show. But that's when I realized, wow, where are all the Spanish-speaking comics? So then the idea came out, why don't I do an all-Spanish open mic?
Wow.
And we tried that. We tried doing an all Spanish open mic, and I got up to 12 comedians that spoke Spanish that wanted to come try it out. But other than that, I'm like, I got to find out where they're hanging out. I got to find out where are all these Spanish speaking comics, and why don't I know them?
How did it work though for the open mic? Were people enjoying them? The comedians? Did the comedians not? They didn't leave crying, did they?
Well, no. What ended up happening, once it got closer to the show, I realized, okay, we have 12 comics that speak Spanish, but maybe not all of them are going to show up, so we might get like 8 that show up. So I decided to, at the last minute, to switch it to Spanglish, hoping it'll bring in more comics, just to make it a good open mic. And a lot of it ended up being in English. But, that was a test to see, can I bring out the Spanish-speaking comics? Because I was posting on Facebook and the comedy scene, if you speak Spanish, please let me know. We're doing a one-time open mic. And I was trying to see with that. But I kind of changed it to Spanglish at the last minute because I wanted more people to come. And
I wish I had known. I totally would have supported. I absolutely would have loved to have, done an open mic in Spanish. I think that would be so cool. So out to the Latinos that are out there, I know a lot of you Latino comedians. Hit them up. The Spanish community needs to laugh too, So what do you see yourself venturing out further with I Know a Guy Productions? Because I see you're just like full of ideas. Where do you see your next venture being?
And that's a very good question. That's a very good. Well, one of the things about me that's different from a lot of comics is I started a company in Chicago. My family's in Chicago. My friends are in Chicago. I'm not going anywhere. I'm in Chicago, so I have the freedom of I have a stable job, and I can play around with ideas and shows and creatives and see what kind of works, see what doesn't. Whereas a lot of people, a lot of transplants, they'll come in, they'll try something, it doesn't work, they'll move to New York or LA, and they don't really have that trial and error They just kind of bolt on an idea and leave. I can kind of do anything because I'm always going to be in Chicago.
But do you want to travel and do like LA and New York and network there?
If it happens, it'd be great to try and do. I'm not looking to move out of Chicago. If I ever get booked on an LA show, yeah, I'd go over there for a week, do my thing, have a good time. But I'm not looking to move anywhere. I'm looking to stay in Chicago, and whatever I can do as being local, whatever I can do here is what I'm going for. So where am I taking I Know a Guy? I just want to use creativity, play around with ideas. Some of them are not going to work. I get that. Some of them are. I want to see what works and just go with it and helping people up along the way.
Are you originally from Pilsen?
No.
Where are you from originally?
I live in the back of the yards neighborhood. Right next to Englewood. A lot of people probably know Englewood more, but
back of the yard, yeah. I think that's home of Joey Villagomez.
Yes,
yes.
And I was just gonna say that I've never met Joey in person. I've talked to him on Facebook, never met him in person. But it's funny because every time I say back of the yards, someone always brings up Joey Villagomez, and I'm like, that's great, but I gotta meet him one day.
Yes, actually, I've been pulling teeth to try and get him on the show. My little story about Joey, because I watched him when he first started, and got the pleasure of being on stage with him and him having me on his show, which I thought in a million years would never happen because it's just like, he's done HBO. He's done amazing things. I own a DVD that he autographed for me and mailed to me. I love him. So Joey V, you got to meet up with I Know a Guy. Shout out. And, I love what he does in the Spanish community as well. A lot of people know who he is. He's doing big things. He was just in Indiana, I think, with Paul Rodriguez and Felipe Esparza. So catch him. He's a great guy to work with. He's very honest. I love his work. So, and I know if you've seen his videos, obviously you love him too. He's a great comedian.
Yeah, and I'll meet him someday. It's on my bucket list. Gotta figure out how to go to one of his shows.
Bribe him with tacos. Bribe him with tacos. We always talk about tacos and tamales on Facebook, so you got to bribe him with food, I think. I think that'll be the way to get him.
And if he's from back of the yards neighborhood, I know what kind of tacos he wants.
What would that be? Fill me in.
Oh, there's the most popular taco place in the neighborhood, which is on 44th and Ashland, which is Paco's Tacos.
Yeah, I've heard about Paco's. I haven't been in there yet.
It's amazing.
Okay, Paco's, I'm coming for some carne asada tacos, definitely with the works. Absolutely. Now you got me hungry. But oh my goodness, there is so much great talent, from everywhere in the city, and it's just great that you guys try and represent, because like I said, Joey always represent Back of the Yards. It's cool to see that that's what you're representing too. Is there any other comedians that we know from Back of the Yards?
I only know Joey. I really don't. Where's all the Back of the Yards?
Y'all gotta come out of the woodwork. Back of the Yards, stand up. Y'all gotta represent. We gonna have to do a Back of the Yards show. We just have to bring people out, drag y'all out of the house. But it's cool though, because I love that you want to stay here and that you want to thrive here and give that opportunity to all comedians. I think that's amazing because it's hard to run a show. Do you want to eventually own your own room, or do you want to take it around the city?
That's where I'm hoping to end up. And you see a lot of shows, a lot of successful shows, like Comedians You Should Know is a popular show. They're doing great. I would like to eventually end up with a great show myself. But you're not going to get there unless you try out different things, see what works, see what doesn't. You have to tweak things along the way. You have to learn through experience. So I eventually want to have a great show. I eventually want to have a great venue. But I'm in the process of finding my way there. And yeah, and a lot of people have this fear of, I don't want to do my show this way because this is not the norm. This is not the way most people do it. I'm like, forget about it. If it sounds like a good idea, just do it. I don't care if no other show in the city is doing this. If you find it a great idea, go for it.
So you are good about being outside of your comfort zone. Which that's perfect. And that's what you need in work, trying to be a comedian and trying to be a successful comedian. Did you have any, what's the word I'm looking for? Who did you look up to growing up as a comedian, or aspire to see, or to, as your hero now? I don't know why I couldn't figure out how to say that sentence.
Well, were you thinking of local comedians or celebrities?
No, just in your personal life, who inspires you? Whether it's past, present, future, who inspires you as a comedian, of the style, maybe, their celebrity persona.
Well, I'll start with one of my favorite comedians is not even a stand-up comic, but Stephen Colbert. Oh my goodness, amazing! I used to watch him on Comedy Central. I still watch him now on the Late Show. I love his comedy. Is so he's not. He does some stand-up, but that's not really what he's known for. I like his personality on TV, and I hope I want to be similar to that in that he gets by on his creativity, and it's not so much, here's my stand-up, here's the punchlines. It's more creativity. He does more than just punchlines. He gets silly, in other words. He gets silly, and I love that about Stephen Colbert. Local comedians, I admire anyone that is very diverse in their comedy. So I've seen comedians where they can do one-liners. Some break out into song. Some break out into physical comedy. Like, I love diversity, but there's a lot of local comics that I look up to. Like one of my favorites that I saw early on is Seth Davis. You know Seth Davis?
Yes.
I love Seth Davis.
Shout out to Seth. We love you.
Hey, Seth Davis. I love him. I'm a huge fan of Jonah Jerkins.
Yes.
I love Jonah. Hey, Jonah.
Shout out to Jonah.
But yeah, I'm a huge fan of anyone that uses their creativity to progress, to move up, and someone who's not just, this is the way things should be done, so this is the way I'm going to continue to do it. I'm like, no, just do your thing, have a good time, and find success.
Because everybody right now is like, oh, Kevin Hart's doing movies, oh, this person's doing this. I mean, a lot of Spanish people, we grew up on Cantinflas and, other artists. So that's what I'm saying, like, were any of these influences as well to you?
Now I'm so glad you brought up those examples, because now it brought back memories. Me and my dad, he speaks English, but he loves, he's watching, by the way. Hey, Dad.
Hi.
He loves his, like you said, Cantinflas.
Mm-hmm.
And the comedians he likes are not the comedians I like, because there's a generation gap. But we found one comedian that we both love, which is Fluffy.
Yes.
Enrique, I'm sorry, Gabriel Iglesias.
Yes. I know. I have a habit of saying Fluffy all the time.
Fluffy, my dad loves his physical. He makes a lot of sound effects with his noises. My dad loves that. I love that his style is not, I'm Mexican, so here's all these jokes about being Mexican. I love that he does his own thing, and he's not, like, it's great to have some comedians, they want to give their Mexican perspective, but I was born and raised here, so he appeals to both sides, to the Mexican side of me, to the American side of me, and that's, my dad loves him and I love him. He's the only comedian that we both loved together, because he and I look up to him because he does go in and out of both. Sometimes he references being Mexican, but he does a lot of his stories about doing jokes abroad and like Scotland and Europe, and like that's a little bit more universal. And I love that, a comedian who can stay true to who they are while at the same. That's why I love Fluffy. So I would say he's one that I look up to. Paul Rodriguez is good. I've listened to a few of his stuff growing up. George Lopez, I loved his sitcom. It was amazing, and I don't know why it got canceled, but oh well.
I have to say I've been blessed to see Gabriel Iglesias live.
Oh, that's good.
And I tell you, I was high when I left. All I want to do was write jokes. It was just so inspiring to watch him, and he was doing all new stuff, so it was incredible. I love his sidekick, Martin. I love Martin. If I was single, I'd be chasing Martin, because he's hilarious. I just love I can't explain it. He's so animated. George, yeah. Why would they cancel such a fabulous show?
I don't know, but yeah, I still watch the reruns, and I think it was great, and they could have done more with it. And you know who else I admire for being brave? Christella, when she had the sitcom. I watched it.
Thank you. I loved Christella. I did. And Fluffy was on that. Gabriel was on that.
Yeah, he was. I later found out she used to open up for him, and that's awesome when she was opening up for Gabriel, and then he in return did spots on her show, and that was an awesome collaboration they had there. And that's cool that she got big and he didn't. Like a lot of celebrities, I would think might want to dump them. Like, oh, you're not with me anymore. Do your own thing.
I think he's so humble and he's so gracious. And I mean, just the things he does with other comedians that people don't know about. I mean, it's definitely his lifestyle is morning to night, obviously comedy. But I think he's just such a wonderful human being, even though I don't know him personally, but just hearing from stories that you see and hear. And it's amazing that it hasn't changed him.
Yeah, it has, and that's one of the great things about Fluffy. And I haven't seen Hollywood change him very much. It's just no matter how rich and famous he gets, he's still doing silly jokes about eating too many tacos.
Yes!
That's what I love.
And he says this on his stage show, and I want everybody to hear this, which I thought was so humbling. He says, "Please approach me." He wants his fans to come up to him, to say hello, to ask for an autograph, ask for a picture. I think that is so amazing because we were in, the Rosemont Center. Imagine how many people are in there if we had all had that opportunity to run up on stage.
Yeah.
I mean, and he would have embraced it. He was literally telling people, like, no, please, if you see me, I want you to come and approach me. I thought that was fantastic. That made me love him even more.
Yeah, I saw his movie. Did you ever watch the Fluffy movie?
I have not gotten to see that.
Well, it's good. I recommend getting it, watching it, and it's more of what I was talking about, universal comedy, while still talking about being Mexican, and he references it here and there. But
so, how's your dad with you and your comedy, and your mom? Like, how's the family? Are they very supportive?
My dad is very supportive, and he tries to find old school Spanish comedians that he thinks that I'll like. So I'll watch him sometimes, and he just goes on YouTube and looks up his favorite comedians. Polo Polo is one of his favorites.
That is such that's telling my age. That's telling my age. Oh my God, I just confessed how old I am on radio. Yes, Polo Polo's been around long. Is he still alive?
I don't know. I just know the old school YouTube videos that my dad pops up and
that's real old school Spanish comedy. Oh wow, yes.
Yeah, and so he's been out to my stand-up show in Pilsen a couple of times, and I love my dad for it. And it's unfortunate. I feel bad sometimes because I look over and I get that he doesn't understand a lot of the jokes. Like, he doesn't translate from English to Spanish, but he's there with a smile on his face, supporting me the whole time. And it's funny because one time he brought two of his friends, and they all know English, but they didn't get English humor. So it's like they were there having a good time, but I could tell they weren't getting a lot of the jokes. But they're still there with a smile on their face supporting me, and I was like, that's awesome.
God bless. Good looking out, Dad. Good looking out for referencing and doing your research for your son, Polo Polo. Oh my God, I'm gonna go home hitting my head on the steering wheel. I confess how old I am knowing that.
Danny Diaz on my Facebook live feed just confirmed that Polo Polo is still alive.
Thank you.
He answered one of your questions.
Thank you, Danny. Because I remember seeing Late Night. That show. Oh my gosh, that just brought me back like so long ago. Wow. Thank you, Danny. Thank you. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh my goodness. Because it's like off the bat, I always say Mario Moreno Cantinflas. Mm-hmm. The guy who does Chespirito, Chapulín, those shows. Like, I always think about those guys. Like, oh, that took me back. I'm so excited for you, though. I love your game plan. I love what you're doing and what you're accomplishing. You got your feet firmly planted. That is just so cool. I love that you do the audition so that people can be critiqued. Because I'm telling every comedian who's listening and anybody who wants to do this, get critiqued by these guys. Jonah Jerkins gave me some fabulous feedback. Andy Bucastro, you had so many people I can't even remember off the name, and the comedians that you had booked was an amazing group.
Oh, that one particular one in Pilsen. It was like everyone did, like they brought their A game, and it was like, wow, we would have never gotten a chance to see this had we not set up this audition event. It was like everyone kept 100. They kept it at 100, and it was cool to see.
My daughter and my husband were there, and they enjoyed the night. It was amazing. And, to see a show like that, and you packed out. I mean, the place was full of real audience, not just comedians, which is a bonus because a lot of people can't do that. And the venue was great. It was really set up for comedy, I feel. Are you going to use that room again?
Yeah, well, we do that show. We do our Shark Showcase there regularly. We just had one last night, and that place has been packing. One of the things that helps us is we have those open windows. So when we do stand-up comedy, it projects throughout the neighborhood, and there's people that come by just because they hear it down the block. It projects like 2 blocks because I parked 2 blocks away and I can hear it, and it's like a siren. It just draws people in, and you get real locals because people don't go to Pilsen. They usually don't go to Pilsen for nightlife or entertainment. They go outside of Pilsen, other neighborhoods. So when they see, hey, look, there's something going on here, and it draws their attention, and they start coming by. There's great nightlife in Pilsen, don't get me wrong, but most people don't know that as a place for nightlife. So we've been getting a lot more locals lately that come by just, hey, we saw your show 2 weeks ago, and we're glad you're doing it again. Now we can come out and watch. But yeah, that venue, we're going to stay on there. The auditions, I would like to, we had one in the north side in Lakeview. We had one in Pilsen. And then our third one, we had it downtown. And the fourth installment of the auditions, I don't know yet where it's going to go, but I'd like to move it around a bit because it is more, I want it to be like a collaborative effort. It's not just me doing it at my own venue all the time. It's going to other people's homes too.
Okay.
So yeah, the next one, it'll come around to Pilsen again. But I think the next one, I'll see where it goes. Can we go all the way down to Riddles? Can we all go all the way up to Whip? A lot of places.
The options are.
Yeah, the options. So we've done downtown, we've done north side and then south side, and now we'll see what maybe suburbs.
Hey.
So
I know a guy. I can get him for you. Listen, before we get out of here, because you believe our time is already up.
Wow.
I told you it was going to go by quick. I want to thank everybody on his Facebook Live for tuning in. I know you can't see me, but you can hear me. Thanks. Shout out. Please like the page, like LOL Miss Nikki page. Follow Noah and everything that he's doing. I've been blessed to be on his stage. Tell everybody where they can find you on social media.
You can find me, I Know a Guy Productions on Facebook. Look me up through that. And I also have, I'm an admin on one of the Facebook groups, Chicago Comedy Scene. So you can send me a request. I'll approve you for that. And I'm always posting stuff about shows going on there. So either through Chicago Comedy Scene or on Facebook page, I Know a Guy Productions.
And I'm going to ask you to tag me in any future stuff so I can post it on my LOL with Miss Nikki page so that all my people can find your shows and come out and support. You have to go see one of these shows. He has the most amazing talent come out. Really, he does. He puts on an excellent show. I wouldn't have him here if he didn't. So I just have to thank you again for taking the time out to come and see me and talk to everybody, your fans, my fans, and all new fans about I Know a Guy Productions. It's just, you got to know a guy, and I do. See?
Well, yeah, well, thank you for having me. And like I said, I'll tag you on future events, and that's what I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, which is trying to set up events to help bring people up and have a good time and use creativity and just everything in Chicago. I'm not going anywhere.
Amen to that. Take care. No, thanks for coming into the studio today, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in to LOL Miss Nikki. We're jamming out again to Marissa by Machine, and you know what I tell you every week: laugh till you cry or cry till you laugh. But either way, keep laughing. Until next time, feed that brain here, IntellectualRadio.com.
Sometimes the forest hides the trees. Hey baby, I'm sure these eyes are going blind. 'Cause baby, you've been here all the time.